Arsenal are chasing history this season. They're on top of the Premier League, still alive in the Champions League, and the dream of a historic campaign is very much alive. But if there's one team that's made life difficult for us in recent times, it's David Moyes and his Everton side. Can we keep our title charge going? This is your Arsenal versus Everton match preview. Welcome back to the bar Arsenal, and today we are going to have a very intense game against David Moyes and his Everton side. Mikel Arteta's side sits on top of the Premier League with 67 points after 30 matches, putting us in pole position and firm control to win this title. However, the Premier League has taught us one thing is that there are no easy games. And Everton, under David Moyes, have become one of the toughest and most difficult games we play. Last season at the Emirates, it was actually a 0-0 draw. When we visited them in the Hugh Dickinson Stadium early in the campaign, it was a 1-0 victory thanks to Victor Gyökeres penalty. But this is a game that Arsenal needs to win, bearing in mind that when we win Everton after 6:30 this evening, we'll go 10 points clear prior to Man City playing against West Ham later in the night. Every title challenging side will always have those moments where they must grind out results. And Arsenal in that phase now. We cannot drop any more points. Man City is breathing down our necks. Man City also has the game in hand. Obviously, we still have our Champions League knockout games. We still have our FA Cup ambitions, the Carabao Cup final next weekend, and of course, the latest title race. But balancing all this requires depth, requires tactical flexibility, requires mental strength. So let's just go through a couple of slides, talk about the first press conference, look at Arsenal's form, look at Everton's form, and what we need to win this game. I think our manager's press conference, thankfully there are no fresh injury concerns. He was asked whether Odegaard and Trossard are going to be available for this game, and what our manager said was, "We will see. We'll have to wait and see and speak to the doctors on whether they're involved or not." This basically means they're not going to be available. Probably Trossard or Odegaard, and I think his knee is still a problem for him, and that's something that we have to be mindful about. He was also asked about Kai Havertz's penalty and the mood for the momentum. That was a game that we were this close to losing. But thankfully, Noni Madueke did very well, had the bus into the box, was sighted down, and of course the penalty was given. It was also interesting to see how, Kai Havertz played the penalty and scored against his former team, He was asked about the quadruple, and he was like, no, he doesn't really think about it, doesn't really put too much mind about it, and that's interesting. Funny enough, yesterday I did a video about the quadruple, where I and a couple of panelists spoke about it. You guys should check it out. Good stuff. And also, obviously, big ups to them for, coming through as always. Then he also asked about, whether Tottenham should stay up so that we can continue the North London derby. And I love this comment. Well, I continue to say it's one of the best games, whatnot, but this basically spoke about how North London derby elevates, the game and whatnot. But in all honesty, I don't care. They are the ones that are where they are. Saka Ange Postecoglou signed Thomas Frank, sacked Thomas Frank, signed Igor Tudor. As they lay their bed, let them lie on it. So there's so many other questions that was asked about the Premier League, getting ready for the Carabao Cup final. What was important to see was that the lads are ready for this game, and we always have to just say it is 6:30 this evening. Hopefully, we'll do what is required to get that victory. Now, looking at Arsenal's form, we come into this game in decent form. Prior to that draw against Wolves, we had won the last four. We beat Tottenham 4-1, beat Chelsea 2-1, beat Brighton 1-0. Yeah. And of course, the Leverkusen game. Oh yeah, there's even Mansfield Town in between. Now that's what I was forgetting. Yes, we also beat Mansfield 2-1. So we're been in good form. We're playing against Leverkusen, had a draw. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's still a second leg to think about. But our form is good. Our players are doing okay. It's good to see how they are doing. But my issue is just with the fact that our guys are tired. We look leggy. And unfortunately, our manager is not trusting his second team more. Guys like Ben White have been back to full fitness in recent times. Mr. Nogard remains criminally underused on the bench. You know, he's someone that could have played several games for sure. Everyone to see out games, but he hasn't played as much. Yes, I played a couple of cup competition games, but for some reason he's not trusted to play in the Premier League, which is quite strange. You know, so yeah, Kai Havertz is just someone that is building his fitness. I'm sure as the campaign progresses, he'll be the one to start playing regularly. Emirates Stadium, he blows hot and cold. 1 minute he's the best player on the pitch. The next minute he's back to stinking up the place. With Gyökeres, we know how he plays sometimes. So it's very challenging. We've had some struggles, but one thing I've done consistently is to win games and grind things out. So it's good to see that the lads know what the assignment is. At this point in time, I really don't care about whether we're boring, whether we easily set pieces. All I care about is getting my 3 points and moving to the next game. And this is going to be very important for us. As for Everton, they are quite in very good form. The last time they lost an away match was on the 13th of December when they played against Chelsea. And since that 2-0 loss to Chelsea, Everton drew 0-0 away with Burnley. Everton beat Nottingham Forest 2-0. Everton beat Aston Villa in their own home 1-0. Everton drew 1-1 with Brighton. Everton beat Fulham away 2-1. Everton beat Newcastle away 2-3. Like, these guys have had a very, very good record on the road. So Arsenal has to be very careful. Looking at the overall table, Everton has played 14 away games, 7 wins, 3 draws, and 4 defeats. So Arsenal has to be very careful with the form that they're showing. Yes, they are currently on 8th place with 43 points, 12 games won, 7 games drawn, and 10 games lost. But under Moyes, Everton have become very organized. They are very dangerous in the counter-attack. They're very strong defensively. They've shown some good results. Yes, they've had a couple of injuries here and there, but they've maintained their resilience. Michael Keane, Gerald Brightwaite, James Tarkowski, defensive contribution defenders that go ahead to make many tackles, interceptions, clearances. And of course, he had Jordan Pickford in goal, who sometimes can just turn to like a beast, not allowing anything to go past him. So Arsenal has to be very careful with the trade Everton is going to pose. But they will really want to play a low block, hold up play and all that. But let's just see. I think Arsenal can do enough to get a victory against them. To injury news, obviously, in the press conference part I spoke about, Arteta said there's no new fresh concern. But we know for sure that Odegaard is still out injured. Trossard, he has a knock. The only player of the long-term injury is Mikel Merino, who suffered a foot injury, went for surgery, and he'll be back sometime in May. As for Everton, their long-standing stalwart, Seamus Coleman, has a knock. And Charlie Alcaraz is also injured. And of course, Jack Grealish suffered a foot injury and went for surgery and is out till the end of the season. He really got a new lease of life at Everton, played consistently for them, and he had 22 games played with 6 assists and 2 goals scored. Looking at the last 5 results, Arsenal, won Tottenham 4-1, brace from Vitor Gyökeres and Ibrahim Eze. And of course, they followed it up with a 2-1 win against Chelsea, where set pieces took the order of the day. And they had the 1-0 victory against Brighton, where Saka had a lucky shot that went past the goalie. Then there was the 2-1 win over Mansfield Town, goals from Madueke and Ibrahim Eze. And of course, Kai Havertz penalty made it 1-1 with Bayer Leverkusen. For Everton, they've had some mixed results. Won Fulham away, and lost at home to Bournemouth, and lost at home again to Man United, and beat Newcastle away, and of course beat Burnley at home. So, Everton is their last 5 games have won 3, Arsenal has won 4. Looking at predicted lineups, so we have Raya in goal. Timber is going to play on the right-hand side. Hincapié will play on the left. Gabriel and Saliba in the middle. Of course, you have Declan Rice and Mendy in the holding roles. Iberichi is there ahead of them. Bukayo Saka on the right, Trossard on the left, and of course, Gyökeres is leading the line. Although I would like to see some tweaks in this formation, I'd like to see White coming for Timber. I'd like to see Nogard coming for Zubimendi. But I don't think Arteta is going to do that. To Everton, I guess she must come and sit out injured. O'Brien will play right back. Nikolenko will play on the left, while Braithwaite and Tarkowski will be at the heart of the defense. Idrissa Gana Gueye and, of course, James Garner are going to play in midfield. They're going to be very, very combative, as you'd expect. Kainan Hall will be in this attacking midfield position. Dwight McNeil on the right-hand side. Iliman Ndiaye on the left. And, of course, Beto leading the line. So to key tactical battles, Star is one of the most sophisticated team in the league. Sometimes you line up with a 4-3-3, sometimes you line up with a 4-2-3-1. But in the position, it kind of looks like a 3-2-5. So our key principles, obviously, we have our guys being getting to midfield, wide players stretching the pitch, high pressing, the fullback going inside, quick positional rotations. And of course, we all know that's not going to be very dangerous from set pieces. Having scored, 16 goals. No, is this 18? I'm forgetting the exact number. But I know we have the highest amount of goals from set pieces this season. As for Everton, they'll play a compact defensive shape. We should expect a deep defensive block. We should expect physical battles with the likes of Gueye and Ghana in midfield. We should expect quick transitions as well. Where knows how to frustrate possession-heavy teams. They will stay compact, force us wide, and attract to counter-attacks and set pieces. So to my predictions, I expect Arsenal to win this game like 2-0. Goals from Gyökeres and Saka. And that should be enough for us to get the result we need. So guys, that's the match preview. By 6:15, I'll be having a watch along. Obviously, it'll be 15 minutes before the game, where we'll talk about the lineups, the confirmed lineups, and build up to the game. Looking forward to having you guys with me on that. And sometime later at 9, maybe 10 or 11ish, I'm going to have the match reaction stream, where we take some time out to look at how the lads played and all that. Then tomorrow, being Sunday, we're going to have the usual Premier League review show, where me and a couple of panelists will sit down together and review all the 10 Premier League games that have been played or whatever games that have been played over the weekend between Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes the Monday fixture is still there. We'll just preview it since we don't have the analysis of it at that point, the results at that point in time. On Monday, Brentford will be playing Wolves. So basically, going to review the results of the 9 games played up until that point. And of course, just have a brief preview of the Brentford versus Wolves game. So guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're heading towards 5K subscribers. You guys have been awesome. Thanks for the consistent love. And we'll see you guys in the next stream. So looking forward to seeing you guys in the watch along this evening. Till then, come on, you guys.